So, Minnesota has officially fallen to 0-3. This one more entertaining than the last two, I would say, at least. But they still lose 31 to 30. Tennessee 3-0, Minnesota 0-3. So, Tannehill 23 of 37, 62.1%, 321 yards, 8.7 average, no touchdowns and a pick. And he was sacked one time by Ngakoue with a quarterback rating of 78.8. Derrick Henry, 26 carries for 119 yards, 4.6 average, and a long of 16 with two scores. And nobody else really did much. They ended up with 35 carries, 134 yards on the ground, with Evans and Tannehill both chipping in 9. So, on the receiving end, we have Khalif Raymond leading them, 3 for 3, 118 yards, 39.3 average, no scores, but had a long 61-yard long 61-yard reception that was given up by Jeff Gladney. Now Corey Davis targeted 6 times, caught 5, 69 yards, 13.8. Jonnu Smith, 5 of 8 there, 61 yards. And then Adam Humphries caught 4 of his 7 targets for 41 yards. And then Pruitt, the former Viking, 2 of 2 for 16. Derrick Henry, 2 of 3 for 11. And then McNichols rounds it out with catching his lone target for 5. So on third down, they were actually only 23%, going 3 of 13. Now, red zone, 50%, 2 of 4. They were plus 2 in the turnover margin. Time of possession, 31-32, and 4 penalties for 45 penalty yards. Now, Kirk, 16 of 27, 59.2%, 251 yards, and 9.3 average. 3 scores, 2 interceptions, was sacked twice, and had a quarterback rating of 96.4. Dalvin Cook had himself quite the day, 22 carries for 181 yards, 8.2 average with a 39-yard touchdown. Alexander Mattison, 8 carries for 27, 3.4. Kirk, 2 for 14, 7 per average. And then Thielen, 1 for 4. So in total, 33 carries, 226 yards, and 6.8 yards per carry with 1 touchdown. Now, Jefferson also had himself a day in the receiving game. He had 9 targets and 7 receptions off of them for 175 yards. 25 was the average with a 71 long yard touchdown there. Adam caught 3 of 5 for 29 yards and a score. Dalvin Cook, 2 of 5 for 18 yards. Rudolph, 2 of 3 and a score. And Ham, 1 of 2 for 11. BB caught his lone ball for 7 yards. Now, third down was 40%, 4 for 10. Red zone, they converted both times, 2 for 2. Minus 3 in the turnover. Time of possession, 28 minutes, 28 seconds. That's actually a massive improvement. 3 penalties for 20 yards on that. So, actual thoughts. Offensively, it was much better. They actually used Dalvin Cook, who I do believe is their best offensive playmaker, although I'm pretty sure after today some are going to be like, maybe Jefferson. But we saw him limping towards the end of this game. I'm kind of hoping he'll be fine. That's kind of more of a stinger than it is a long-term deal. But speaking of Jefferson, he had himself a day. Who would have thought maybe throwing to the first-round draft pick's a good idea? Who would have thought? It did end up benching Olabisi Johnson, but I really don't mind that. I feel like this is what should have happened from the start. So, yeah. And Drew Samia clearly ain't ready for actual NFL play. I think that was very clear today. Simmons was killing him all day. He was just getting kind of, as people would say, clapped. So, yeah, it wasn't working, and something is a problem in there. So, and I think for the most part, Kirk Cousins was working with what he had. I know there's a whole lot of tank for Trevor out there, but I don't really see what that's going to do with the guards playing as they are playing. It was horrible. And I feel like he really was working the best he possibly could do with what was being given, which was running for his life. So, little concerned on that. We really need to fix the guard situation. And the first pick was kind of a heavy pressure, which was, the interior of that line again. And the second one was just a prayer, so I'm not really going to hold that second one against him at all. And little star bonus thing here. They actually met the goals I wanted them to. So I was like, just don't get a safety and have over 25 minutes of possession time. They reached both, they just didn't win the game. Defensively, they had more marginal improvements, but they still aren't good enough. They allowed 134 yards today, which is still bad, but a lot better than their 154.5 yard average they were giving up coming into this game. So they need pressure. They can't get pressure unless they're blitzing, and you cannot blitz every single down. So you just need somebody to step up and actually pressure the quarterback, because Tannehill might as well have been thrown back there with some 7-on-7s. It's a problem. Speaking of 7-on-7s, Holton Hill may not have a starting job once Cameron Dantzler and Mike Hughes come back, because he is getting abused out there. It continued again today. He had one good play, I think, that I saw, and it was actually still somewhat of a negative because it was dropping. He finally had a good break on the ball, and he ended up dropping what probably would have been a game-sealing interception, which he possibly could have even taken for 6. It's like, yeesh, buddy, this is a problem. So Holton Hill may need to actually go to the bench. And they need to just have an overall run presence. Like, the fact that 134 is a win is still a major problem. So they need to actually do some things. And I'm kind of hoping some roster, or maybe, I don't know if they're really going to do any roster changes, but at least some personnel changes that they have that are already on the roster. Hopefully. Now, overall, Jefferson and Dalvin Cook looked like stars today, which is really good. That helps for the future. Obviously, like I don't know if anyone's really hoping for playoffs at this point at 0-3, but as far as the future is, you have both of those guys locked up long term, and so it's good. They looked super good, and these guards are a problem. They're a significant problem. They hold back pretty much the entirety of the offense, and it's becoming an issue. Defensively, they still can't generate any pressure unless they actually are blitzing, and that's just going to put more pressure on your corners, who clearly are not up to it. I think we've also established that. So they're still kind of needing to win some more second and first downs. They're 23% today on third down, which is good. That's actually really good. And I know some are going to want to blame the offense for this loss strictly because they went 3-and-out late. Yeah, but after they went 3-and-out, they also allowed defensively, they allowed a 9-play drive to kick a field goal with, about, a minute 44 left, and then you had no more timeouts, and now you have to be in passing situations with a not so great guard situation on both sides. So Minnesota ended up putting up 30 points. The offense did its part, even though there was basically 2 turnovers. I know they're credited with 3 because of the last second thing. But between the Dalvin fumble and the Kirk Cousins interception, which could have been 6 but wasn't, they ultimately did their job by getting to 30. Because if you have 30 points and your head coach is a defensive head coach, 30 points should equal victory. It did not, and I still think the defense is still the biggest problem. I've been kind of even saying on this channel, don't know if I've outright said it, but I've kind of hinted at it at times. This offense is a lot easier to fix than this defense is this year, because offensively they just weren't running what they actually needed to run. Defensively, they're actually missing bodies. And the more bodies you're missing, the less this is going to be. Like, as of right now, we're definitely seeing, we could really use Pearson Hunter right now, and that would help your pressure and your run game a lot, which would actually be putting your corners in more favorable situations. So maybe they actually would look a little better. As of right now, there's no pressure, so they have to cover all day, which is a problem. So I would like to know your guys' comments down below. Thoughts, opinions, all that good stuff. Like and subscribing, super helpful. And until next time, I bid y'all adieu.